So I went shooting yesterday and it was absolutely insane. I mean, those kids were ruthless. So yesterday I went shooting at a church event. We were celebrating Children's Day. And in Mexico we celebrate that on April 30th. To not confuse anyone, I don't live in Mexico right now. I do live in the United States. However, I am part of the Hispanic community up here. So I went to this event and at a church that I work at, an after-school program that the church offers. I know a lot of the parents, I know a lot of the kids, I know the priest. For this event, they were going to celebrate it out on the church parking lot. They had 3 different bouncy houses. They had a mechanical bull that the children and adults could both ride. They had different stations. They had cotton candy making machine. They could make bracelets and stuff. So they had a lot going on for the kids. And the priest also asked people to come in dressed up as something that the children might like. So I decided to suit for this event. And I did decide to bring Rude. I thought about bringing Minico, but I just felt that Rude would be more entertaining because it is a silent suit, so my communication would be non-verbal, and I just thought that it'd be a fun way to interact with the kids. And also Rude's personality is just a lot more playful and kind of like dog or puppy like, so I just thought that Rude would be the best one to bring. But I did make the mistake of not having a handler at first, so that was kind of terrible. There were so many kids, and I didn't think that it'd be too much of a problem because Rude can be sometimes intimidating to a few kids, so I was not expecting them to be completely surrounding me in like a matter of seconds of me getting onto the parking lot. And of course all the parents were just eating, you know, there was free food, so they were eating, sitting down, socializing out, you know, in one area. And all the kids were just running around, you know, going to the bouncy, just all over the place without their parents really watching them, because again, they're just socializing and eating. And for a while, I think maybe it was about an hour, I was the only person suiting up at the time, the only one with a costume. So of course, I was one of the main attractions, and so I was surrounded by so many unsupervised kids. You know, their parents out there, all the kids here, and yeah, it was crazy. At first I didn't have a handler with me, so, you know, they were just really curious and, you know, tugging on my tail and like trying to pet me and wanted to touch my ears and my nose and everything. It's kind of hard to get them not to do that when you're a silent suitor, so I had to go and get my mom, who was working at one of the booths, and she thankfully rescued me and she became my handler for the rest of the time. Definitely always have a handler with you. Yeah, I learned my lesson. Even with a handler, it was really crazy, but definitely always have a handler with you. Especially a good handler that can lay down the law, because some of these kids, I mean, they're just crazy. A lot of them were kindergarten or probably like preschool to 2nd graders. There were some 3rd graders as well, but it was around that age range. And yeah, there were just so many. It was so overwhelming. So the kids kept wanting to play different games. They wanted to play tag. I played tag with them. They wanted to play hide and seek. I played hide and seek with them. And they had music playing, so I was dancing and they danced with me. And we were dancing to the cha-cha slide. And so I was dancing to it, and it was really funny because these little kids were just kind of watching me. and just doing what I do. So I was kind of, you know, showing them how to dance to the cha-cha slide, and that was just adorable. But yeah, you know, the kids wanted me to like play fetch and catch and all these different games, and they were kept asking me all these questions, and they kept wanting to tell me secrets. They're like, hey, can I tell you a secret? And I'd like bend down and have my ear next to them, and they'd tell me like all these random things. Like one kid, he's like, hey, can I tell you a secret? I have a big room in my house. Like, what? Okay. That's pretty cool. You know, just like weird random things. And like one kid was asking me all these questions. He's like, hey, do you have a family? And I nod, and he's like, oh my gosh, everyone, she has a family. Like, it was just so silly. They were so silly. They're all trying to like touch me and everything. They actually pulled my tongue out like at least 5 times. So that was kind of annoying. But they weren't doing it on purpose, I don't think. They were just like really curious and like petting me and like touching my ears and everything. And my tongue isn't very securely in there because I wanted to be able to remove it and put it back on. But now I might consider actually sewing it on there because that happened. But yeah, and they kept trying to feed me a bunch of random stuff. Like they'd come over with like cupcakes and ice cream and cotton candy, and like I'm like, no, please keep that far away from me. But somehow they still managed to get cotton candy on me, of course with their sticky fingers. So I had to clean off some cotton candy off my tail and my ears and my muzzle. Ugh. But thankfully cotton candy just dissolves with water, so it's not really a big deal. But still. But thankfully, after about an hour of me trying to entertain all these kids, other costumes showed up. So there was Mickey Mouse, there was Minnie Mouse, and there was a Minion. And so I went over to where they were, and the kids were like, oh yay, Mickey Mouse! And they'd go over to where they were, and I'm like, oh, finally I can catch a break. But literally, like, maybe 2 or 3 seconds after that, they come running back to me, and I'm like, oh no! But yeah, I could not get rid of them. And I was like interacting with Mickey Mouse and stuff, and that was pretty funny. The children were so entertained. And the children are like, hey, you need to have a dance-off with Mickey Mouse. It was so funny. I really wish I could have recorded some of this stuff. Or at least had pictures. But next time, definitely. They kept trying to get me into the bouncy houses and on the mechanical bull. It was really funny. But they were absolutely crazy. Some of them were just really nice, too. There was a few kids that came over with balloons, and they like drew stuff on it, and they were like giving it to me, and they're like, hey, I drew you and me, and do you like it? And then they'd like hug me and like give me the balloon. It's really sweet. And one kid brought me something to drink. It was really nice. It was like a little plastic barrel with juice in it, and it had one of those foil tops. So I just put that in my mouth, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's eating it. And I could just puncture the top with my teeth and start drinking it, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's actually drinking it. And I take it back out of my mouth, and it's half empty, and they were just like going crazy that I actually was able to drink it. So it was just a really wild, crazy time. And it was crazy too because normally when I've suited around kids, like at a festival or something, first of all, they have their parents with them, so the parents can make sure that they don't, you know, do anything like pull on my tail and stuff like that. Second of all, they usually just are passing by, so they'll like walk over, stay for a little while, and then walk off, right? Well, here I was, in this parking lot for like 2 hours with all of these kids. You know, it was just insanity. I would have invited some of my friends to go shooting with me as well, but I didn't because it was kind of a last minute event. I also didn't have handlers available for, my other friends that would be shooting there. I definitely did not want my friends to be shooting without handlers. It's one thing for me to go without a handler, but for my friends to be there without handlers, I would not wish that upon them. So that's the main reason why I didn't invite them, because they would have been subject to the same treatment. It wasn't awful. I mean, it was just crazy, but I actually had a really good time. And I was surprised by how well I was able to communicate with children. They seemed to really understand what I was trying to say, just with nonverbal communication. So that was really awesome. I was kind of surprised by that, actually. And, I was able to entertain them for these 2 hours. And, we were constantly talking to each other, so to speak. And at the end, they still didn't want me to leave. And so it was a really neat experience. And if any of you guys are worried about not being able to communicate well as a silent shooter, I can definitely tell you I was able to entertain a group of kids for 2 hours. I mean, they're entertained by anything that you do. I mean, just start dancing, they're gonna have a really good time. So, yeah, you can do it. Takes practice, for sure, but you can do it. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know about that crazy time I had yesterday, so you can learn from it. I definitely will do it again. I'll have a camera with me next time, and yeah, I'll be better prepared next time, for sure. But thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.